Welcome to the Unity of Olympia podcast.
So this is the third Sunday in Advent. Our first Sunday, we celebrated joy, even though that's not what the rest of the churches did, because we like to do stuff that way. Because we were doing kid stuff. And then last Sunday, we celebrated peace. Good job. And today, we celebrate love. And it's not just celebration, it's an invitation into the heart. That Advent is an invitation to each of these qualities of being that allow us to open ourselves to that wholeness, that pure life, that pure spirit that we call the Christ. The children's lesson today, which you all get because you are all children at heart, is the story of Jesus' birth from the book of Matthew, the first chapter, in children's language. Y'all ready? All right. He wrote this the author of that book wrote this for his friend Theo. A priest named Zach and his wife Liz were really good people, but they never had any children, even though they wanted them. And now they were too old for babies, like me. One day, Zach was at the temple burning incense when he saw an angel. Naturally, Zach was scared, but the angel said, "Fear not." That's exactly right. "Fear not, Zach. God heard your prayer, and you and Liz are going to have a baby, and his name is going to be John. You'll be so happy, and everyone else will be too. He'll be a really good man, and he'll help others to be kind and loving." Zach was a little blown away. He told the angel, "No way." And the angel said, "Way. And because you didn't believe me, now you won't be able to talk until he's born." Oh. Okay, well, that's the story. Sure enough, Zach couldn't make a sound. Pretty soon, Liz said, "I'm pregnant." It was a surprise to them both. Meanwhile, back in Nazareth, a teenage girl named Mary was visited by an angel named Gabriel. Just like Zach, Mary was scared. And then Gabriel said, "Fear not, Mary. You're in for a big surprise. You're going to have a baby, and you're going to name him Jesus." Well, Mary was skeptical. She said, "But I'm supposed to get married to this guy named Joseph." The angel told her not to worry. God was taking care of that for her. And then Gabriel said, "Do you know your cousin Liz is pregnant too? You know, old Liz? Nothing is impossible with God." So Mary went to Zach and Liz's house to check, and sure enough, they were pregnant too. Liz had her baby after Mary had gone back home, and suddenly Zach could talk again. So they named him John, just like the angel said. Mary and her fiance were traveling when they had their baby, her baby, a little boy, and she named him Jesus, just like the other angel said. And up the hills, beyond where Mary and the baby were resting, a bunch of sheep herders were suddenly visited by an angel too, and they were scared, and the angel said, "Fear not." A little baby was just born, and he's going to grow up to be a great man, a teacher to all people. He's going to help people to be loving and kind, to live really good lives. He's going to fill them with faith and peace and joy and love. You should check it out. So the shepherds took off for the town, and they found Jesus, telling everyone what the angel had told them. People were pretty impressed. Mary was amazed, and the shepherds were grateful for the power of God. Quite the story, huh? Filled with magic, babies magically born without all the stuff required to make a baby. This is the children's lesson. Angels showing up and talking to people. Poor old Zach losing his ability to speak, right? Ugh. It's a whopping story made to get your attention so that you know it's important. That's the Christmas story. And here's what it means. Expect a miracle. Sometimes when women are pregnant, we say they're expecting. And every baby is a miracle. So, if you're old and you've given up on your dreams, fear not. Expect a miracle. If you're young and you have no power and choices are being made for you, fear not. Expect a miracle. If you're working hard in the fields or at any labor, and you believe things really won't change. We're getting ready for Christmas, and this is the message. This is the message of this Christmas story, which is perhaps different from the other Christmas story in the Bible. But the message is fear not, expect a miracle. So this third week of Advent, dedicated to the power of love, we affirm the truth of our wholeness. That we, like the story of Jesus, are anointed. That each of us is the presence of the Christ in the world. That each of us brings this love, this joy, this peace to be a blessing upon others. So today is about love and life. Life is one of the last of the 12, it is the last of the 12 powers that we've been studying throughout the year as we've been on this path of discover the power within you. And we've been through 11 other powers. Again, the 12 powers are a teaching tool. Each of the powers is an attribute that already lives within us, and we simply bring it forth. And by focusing on that power, we bring it forth more and more so that whatever ego stuff we have going on can be less and less. Make sense? Today's affirmation from the Daily Word is, on my Advent journey, I abide in love. But I'd like us to make it a little simpler. I live in love. Together? I live in love. All right, so we're going to start with the power of life and what it represents and who represents it and all that stuff. It's represented by the disciple Judas. Thank you for that. I just got this face that goes, ooh. Some of you might be surprised, all right? That's a deal. Let's see, I'm going to have to put on some glasses. Here we go. Remember, this is a metaphysical interpretation of stories to give them an opportunity to be real in our own lives. That's what unity is based on. That's our history, is a metaphysical interpretation of these Bible stories so they can be real for us now. Judas is known for a couple of things. He managed money for Jesus and his disciples. He betrayed Jesus for 30 coins of silver, pieces of silver, and then he took his own life. And so it seems a little odd that he would represent life. However, just like Peter sunk in the water and Jesus had to call to him to come on up, faith is your power, And just like Peter denied that he ever knew Jesus 3 times, and then he had to relive it. That's how this works. Because just like you and me, we have this power of life, and without engaging it fully with that Christ consciousness, with our wholeness, it becomes kind of twisty. Even though Jesus brought into vision, even though Judas bought into the vision that Jesus was preaching, he didn't know how to fully embody that vision. In our language, we say that he represents that part of the ego self that would choose power over love, greed over generosity, and arrogance over integrity. Now, I know that you guys are all over that, but I'm just telling the story for me. Because this is the part that keeps getting us in trouble, right? It keeps getting me in trouble when I know I'm born into divinity and wholeness, and then this other thing shows up out of my mouth or out of my actions. It's not really knowing through experience until we live that. So like all of the other 12 powers, life is an expression of divinity, divine intelligence. It's the energy that moves through our bodies. It is the very essence of life, right? So Fillmore and I believe that life does not come out of matter, that intelligence does not come out of the brain, that consciousness isn't made by the physical matter, but that all of that exists, and that God, as life, as intelligence, as consciousness, uses our physical matter to show up. Interesting hypothesis, isn't it? It's a theory that that philosophers continue to talk about, even on the YouTube channels that I listen to today. The hard question of consciousness is what they call it. Life has bodies. And in these bodies, we have natural desires for love, companionship, respect, material well-being, food. And we desire them so much that without consciously directing our life force, that particular power, we can find ourselves in fear of not receiving what we want, what we desire, what we need. According to our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, the first step in, he calls it redeeming our life faculty, I would call it fulfilling that wholeness that already exists within you, is assume a fearless attitude of mind, affirming our unity with the Spirit of truth. The spiritually realized Judas within is one of praise and thanksgiving. I am one with the Spirit of truth. I am one with the Spirit of truth. I am one with the Spirit of truth. The world is a beautiful place. The world is a beautiful place. We praise it, right? The world is a beautiful place. Y'all are beautiful people. I am grateful. In its highest expression, the Judas quality of life represents healthy desire for achievement that brings good to itself and others. So, I live in love. Together? I live in love. So we could choose a life of love. It's really the only remedy to a world of uncertainty that we have right now. And truly, we always have a world of uncertainty. It's just that right now we can see it more clearly, perhaps. Unity agrees with the author of the Gospel of John that God is love. And when we invite love into our hearts, we are inviting God into our hearts, into our lives. The revealing word says that love is the greatest harmonizing force known to humanity. So then what is it? You know, what does it look like in expression? For me, if you want me to feel loved, I feel loved when I am seen and heard the way that I want to be seen and heard. I feel loved and honored when people are witness to what I'm saying or how I'm showing up. And so we're going to do a little experiment, because I know that that's one of the ways that many, many people feel loved. We're a very small group today, which is great. You at your home, you can do this too. I want you guys to partner up, but don't disturb the sleeping. It's okay. Partner up, and what I want you to do is we'll take turns. I want you to ask your partner, what is love for you? And while your partner is telling you, pay attention not just to the words you hear, but to what they're saying and who you're seeing. And then we'll switch. And then after that, if any of you are so brave and you have permission from your partner, I would love for maybe 3 or 4 of you to tell the rest of us what your partner said and how it was for you. All right. Ready, set, go. All right, if you haven't already switched, let's make sure that the other person gets to share. The listener needs to share. You guys are dead. How about another 30 seconds? Wrapping it up. All right. Who's willing to share what you heard your partner tell you, what you saw your partner tell you? Thank you, Rodney.
She feels love when she's understood, seen, and heard is the way she sees her best self.
She feels loved when she feels understood, seen and heard.
The way she hears, feels, and sees her best self.
Nice. Thank you. How's that feel to hear that? Feeling good inside. Can we get this mic turned on? Thank you. Who else would like to share? Yeah, y'all are going to have to start sitting closer.
My partner said love is her great-grandson.
Mm.
Yeah, and her family.
Mm-hmm. And what did you see with that? Did you see that that's true? What did you?
Oh, I saw her whole demeanor like soften and light up from within and glow.
Thank you. How's that feel to hear that? Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Are y'all shy now? Because there's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Should I choose somebody? No? Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you to pass this mic back to Rose, would you please?
Love is being listened to, and action following the listening, something that we spoke about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Action based on listening.
Mm-hmm. Is that what Nancy, is important to Nancy? Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I said it, because
Okay.
I listened to her.
So Nancy, how does that feel being heard like that? Feels good to be heard like that. Yeah, yeah. So thank you very much. You can pass the mic forward. Okay. How does that feel to hear people talking about what makes them feel loved? Just go ahead and shout out some answers. Personal. Mm-hmm. Hopeful. Unifying. Familiar? Yeah. Pardon me? Encouraging. Collaborative. Love unites us. When we are in a room together like this, we are creating an energetic presence that is contagious on one another. My energy is rubbing off on you, and your energy is rubbing off on the person next to you. And when we purposely invoke that power of love, we are blessing lives. This is what we're called to do. Let's see what I was supposed to say. That wasn't it. Our community acts in love when we go out of our way to find gifts for people we don't even know, like we have for those children and families that are signed up through the Salvation Army, right? Wow, that was a pretty great deal. Now, there were a couple of names that were not chosen, and so because of your financial support, Unity of Olympia, via Kyle, just went out and got gifts for those 3 names, for those 3 kids. So y'all did. Everybody did. It's also, the Winter Solstice Spiral Walk is this Saturday down in the social hall. This also is an act of love. It was started by Karen Ward, one of our previous youth directors. Ooh, I think there's a bug. Good thing we're a small group, I guess. So it was started by Karen Ward, one of our previous youth directors, so that she could invite her friends who were spiritual, not religious, who did not want to come to church, but had a desire to celebrate Yule, to have a winter celebration, to honor, to have a ritual to honor the longest day of the year, moving into a growing light. And she created this ritual that we have been supporting in this community, and we're going to be doing it again this year, and that is an act of love. It's an act of love. Today's daily word reminds us of the words of the Apostle Paul. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three. And the greatest of these is love. You know, Paul also said, let all that you do be done in love. And that's a little more direct. It's not so much about these things are living in you. It's a direction. Let all that you do be done in love. The truth is that love abides, just like the dude. The dude abides. And we are always in love, right? It is constantly moving in and through us, just like that sea of life, the sea of consciousness, the sea of the divine. Love is always present. So, sometimes we just forget, and we let that life force choose cookies when you swore them off, because the desire is so great, or whatever it is you choose. That's what I choose. That it's easier sometimes, but the price is higher, because the truth of our soul always wants to choose the highest and best for our bodies and for each other, to be a blessing to the world. The circumstances of our lives are uncertain, no matter how much planning you've done, no matter how much you've done to create order in your life. There is no way to know where we're going and what's going to happen. Not for real. But the Spirit of truth is living through us as life itself, as love itself. And we realize the highest expression of both life and love when we release fear and affirm oneness. Now, there are several suggestions in the Advent booklet this week about how to live in love. I've read all of the goodies, and I'm going to tell you what, there are lots of things to do in this week's readings. Anybody not get an Advent booklet, we still have, I think, 5 or 6 available, so yeah, we'll make them available after the service too. But one of them says, begin a new story about all the ways love shows up in your life. I love that. Ba-dum-bum. Begin a new story about all the ways that love shows up in your life. That sounds like a good thing to think about, right? It could be interesting. You can give it a try. You never know what can happen. Probably not going to have babies on accident, but maybe. Fear not.